Howdy partners, it's so good to be here yet again. I finally saw Nosferatu, one of the films I've been anticipating the most in 2024. Honestly, Robert Eggers has been absolutely killing it. I admit that I still haven't seen his first film, The Witch. I don't know what I'm waiting for, but in any case, The Lighthouse and The Northman absolutely blew me away. Literally one of my favorite films, not only of their respective years, but in the last several years, generally speaking. Instant horror classics as far as I'm concerned. So going into this film, Nosferatu, I was expecting something weird and a little too fucked up, and boy did I get that. So of course it's the reimagining of the classic silent film from 1922. And I didn't actually know this until recently, but that was an unauthorized adaptation of the classic novel of Bram Stoker's Dracula, which came out in 1897. And after finally seeing this film, I feel validated over my obsession all year long towards this film, because if for no other reason, the art direction of this film is immaculate. Oh my word. All the props, costume, and architecture feel super authentic to its time period, and you can tell that all the people that worked on this project just poured their heart and soul into the visual craft of this film. For example, the coffin that we eventually see in the film is so intricately detailed, I almost wish I could have paused the film in the cinema to just get a closer look at it. But I think the star of the show is the cinematography, which is out of this world good. Some of those visual compositions are incredible, and some of the landscape shots in this film, wow. And I will say there is this rather frigid and monochrome, almost like quality about the color palette of this film. Perhaps it's an ode to the original film, which was in black and white, and if so, it's tastefully done. And then when it comes to the lighting, I do think it does a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to creating this very surreal atmosphere, which is the usual for Robert Eggers. There's always this fever dream-like quality about his films that I think he's so unique in capturing quite to that extent. And it is no different here. Indeed, the marketing slogan of this film, "Succumb to Darkness," I find is so appropriate because the shadows themselves have almost this physical, omnipotent presence in the film. There's something about it that is hypnotic, spellbinding, and it almost pulls you in. And so now, of course, without spoilers, we gotta talk about our vampire in this film. And I love that the marketing and promotion of this film kept the look of Count Orlok under wraps. It did make for quite a nice tease and anticipation, not only outside the theater just waiting to actually finally experience the film, but also within the film itself. Even the first time we actually see him in the film, he's kind of shrouded in darkness, so you don't get a good look of what he actually resembles. And when we finally do get a look at him, it might not be what you were expecting. This ain't Edward Cullen or the Salvatore brothers from The Vampire Diaries. Oh god, no. I love that this film taps into something super ancient and evil, and it feels like it. There's something super arcane and honestly gross about him. Now that I've seen the film and I had a moment to reflect about it, I do find that there's a similar quality that you would find in something like Witcher 3. And one of the many intrusive thoughts that I had watching this film, at one point I was wondering to myself, what does this guy's breath smell like? Yuck! I think I would faint. And of course, the actor who plays Count Orlok is Bill Skarsgård. We all know him and love him, and I knew that going into this film, and honestly, I did not recognize anything whatsoever of Bill Skarsgård in the film. Absolutely unrecognizable, which is once again a testament to the visual craft of this film, either through the use of CGI or I know there was a lot of use of prosthetics in this film. In any case, as gross and disturbing as he is, there's nothing uncanny about it. Like, I totally bought into that vision. So high praise for the performance and just the visual look and feel of that monstrosity. Then the rest of the cast is also great. Lily Rose Depp in particular gives a terrific performance. There's something super physical about her performance that was genuinely unnerving and at times painful to watch. And she also makes a surprisingly great heroine by the end of the story. Nicholas Hoult also has a lot of great moments on screen. That first encounter with Count Orlok is unforgettable. And then Willem Dafoe, as always, he's just kicking up a storm on screen. He's literally one of our favorite actors working today. And here it seems like he's having a lot of fun. There is something rather laid back and casual about it, oddly enough. In fact, I'd say he's the comedic energy of the film that creates an oddly complementary counterbalance, because otherwise the tone of this film is pure black and serious. On paper, I would have thought that this wouldn't have worked, but of course Willem Dafoe is so talented that he takes this kind of idea and just knocks it out the park, even in this really bizarre context. And finally, I do think Aaron Taylor-Johnson, though I do appreciate him as an actor, I do find that he kind of has the weakest character arc in the film. I think that applies for his family generally speaking. Basically boils down to him being this rich, annoying guy that's complaining most of the time. Once again, not a shot at him as an actor, it's more just the fact that he has the character with the least amount of substance in the film. And while I am being critical about the film, not that there's all too much to critique about this film, but always in the spirit of constructive criticism, I do find that, especially when compared to Robert Eggers' previous films, the narrative structure of this film is somewhat formulaic, and this might be a consequence of just adapting from source material. There is a minimum requirement of being faithful to that, of course. So personally, I do find that he's much more adventurous in his original films that come straight from his mind, because in The Lighthouse and The Northman, I had no idea where any of those films were going. Whereas here pretty much is the classic hero's journey that we've seen a million times before. And furthermore, I do find that there are a lot of cringe moments in the film, specifically through a lot of the erotic content in the film, and there is quite a bit of it. And for the record, I don't shy away from sexuality in film. Just last week I saw Queer and Honora, as well as another film that came out this year that had a lot of sexuality, and those are great films that I deeply appreciated. But here in Nosferatu, I'm trying to find the word to describe it. It's definitely not kinky. I think it's something a lot closer to freaky, and not the kind of turn on freaky like, you freaky. More like the, oh no, this is freaky. Lord help us. And as an amusing anecdote, I find it hilarious that Nicholas Hoult has framed the prosthetic penis that Bill Skarsgård was using in the film. That is just the cherry on top of the Nosferatu cake. And as a final point of criticism, for a horror film, I don't find this scary. Unnerving? Yes, in spades. But I don't find it scary. I wonder if I'm alone in that feeling. So though this might not be my personal favorite Robert Eggers film to date, I do think I personally prefer his own original vision coming to screen. But even so, it still feels like a miracle that this film exists quite in the way it does. I really hope it doesn't bomb at the box office. There's so many crazy, surreal moments, and some moments that are dark as fuck that I think some audience members might struggle with. And of course, if for no other reason, you have to go check it out on the big screen just for the visual masterpiece that this film is. I really can't sing high enough praises on the visual department. I'm assuming that the Oscars are going to snub yet another Robert Eggers film. I'm expecting that, but hopefully we'll be surprised. At least 1 or 2 nominations in the visual department. Hopefully, please. In any case, this film is all sorts of fucked up, and it rules. I'm at least at an 8.5 out of 10 on this one. Is this the most fucked up Christmas movie we've ever seen? I certainly think so. Is this even a debate? So with all that being said, wishing you and your loved ones nothing but the best. Take care and talk to you soon.